Welcome to a special holiday episode of Passion for Impact. 2020 certainly has been a year, but I have definitely learned some big lessons. In this episode, I share my top 3. Each one offers insight into how I managed, on some days better than others, this COVID-induced experience, plus how you too can use courage to step forward in your own life to create more joy, fun, impact, and deep fulfillment. Ready to hang out with me? I am so grateful you are here. Let's do it.
This is the Passion for Impact podcast with speaker, trainer, and socially conscious advocate Tricia Miltimore.
December 17th, 2020. I'm at home. I've spent a lot of time at home over the last 9 months, as I'm sure you have as well if you're listening to this episode close to this recording date. COVID-19, a force that has both united humanity and driven people to take sides over a battle that doesn't have clear lines or even make sense most of the time, at least not to me. Most of us are simply trying to make it through, to do what is best for the community, our friends, and of course, our own families. And like all adversity and change, the experience is a teacher. And like all adversity and change, courage is required. In today's episode, I want to share 3 lessons I've learned over the last year, delivered by COVID in a messy package, unboxed hastily, sometimes with resistance, and other times with an open heart of gratitude and yearning. Now, each lesson shares one element in common, the call for courage. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. Here's what I know about courage, though. Every time the soul and mind are stretched and courage is drawn forth, there is a shift in what we know as possible. It can be the smallest edging towards an open door or a full push into something that requires all faith and little knowing. Think about last year. Where has your courage taken you? What adventures has your spirit been on? Think of the joy. The moments where you looked up and felt a free-flowing sense of happy, of alignment, of purpose. The smallest moments that truly do take your breath away, that make you say wow out loud, that ask of you to stop and take notice, to embrace, to inhale. Just last week, we went on a family walk to take in the neighborhood Christmas lights. So pretty. As we walked down the hill from our house, I looked up and I saw the most magnificent full harvest moon. I felt like I could reach up and feel the texture of the moon's surface. It was gold and bright and big, and I stopped walking and I just took it in. Joy. It comes unexpected, unannounced, pure. Now think of the pain, the moments when you felt alone, unsure, scared, the sense that what is not anymore, the loss of what you know, the demand to move forward while walking on ground that is unsteady and dangerous. The worry, right? Now, I know some of you listening have lost someone from this virus or even just during this virus. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you have to go through this during a time when so many are unable to be together, to hold someone's hand when they're moving on, to hug a friend during chemo, to have coffee with a coworker facing parenting alone. Ah, yes, to share in the pain, to share in the suffering, to share in the heartache. This is what makes us human. We need to share in the moments that are the everyday to the most grand experiences, the laughter, the struggles, the boring. So in the spirit of sharing, here are my top 3 courageous lessons learned during this thing we call COVID. Now, these lessons are personal. I suspect you may relate to many or at least a few. I hope you can find some inspiration, sense of connection, and even perhaps some peace from the insights I have gleaned from riding the same storm as you, just as with all of us in a different boat. Number 1, have the courage to feel. I remember sitting in the Toronto airport in March, waiting to fly home from a speaking engagement, when the first of many canceled event emails began trickling in. As speaking is my main source of revenue in my business, this was financially devastating. With each message that came in, the weight of what am I going to do piled on my shoulders. Of course, I was still convinced that this would all be over in 3 to 6 months. Those people on the news talking about the new normal, I thought they were being a bit dramatic. Oh, the power of hindsight, right? I remember when the schools closed and I had all 4 kids at home. Yeah, I definitely remember that. I remember the pressure to pivot, to shift, to professionally make this shit happen, to be extra gritty, focused, innovative, smart. But I didn't feel any of those things. I felt overwhelmed, out of control, frustrated. I felt like a bad mom. I felt resentful that once again my career is on hold because of forces outside of my control, while my hubby was leaving every day to work and nothing really changed in his world, except my attitude. I felt bad for feeling resentful that my husband was still working when others were not. Oh, there was all kinds of feelings. Remember your feelings? How about them now? I remember another day as well. The day I mentally stopped scrolling LinkedIn and feeling like I was missing the boat on possibility and potential. I declared to myself to back off, to stop trying to figure it all out and start just being with what is. I had to have the courage to feel the loss of my work. I had to have the courage to feel the feelings that go with losing structure and long worked for ways of living. When we feel, we are aware. And when we are aware, we are more alive. Not feeling is choosing to step aside, to resist, to live in the shadows of the present. I didn't want to live in the shadows. Number 2, have the courage to not have to have control. I gave myself permission to feel the lows, and by doing so, I became more open to the highs and, the really good stuff in the middle. That's the good stuff. What if I embraced this break from the busy schedules we were living? What if I found new ways of focusing my energy and skills that are fun and satisfying? What if I, just relaxed a little more? What if I just let go on needing to be in control? Yeah, any fellow control freaks out there? I think for me, if I'm not working hard, I'm not living up to my full potential. This has been a mindset that I've been working through for many years. But here's the thing, living up to my full potential is actually a dark and sinister way, for me, of constantly trying to prove myself. It sounds so nice and inspirational. Live up to your full potential. Be all that you can be. Create your best life. It takes courage to not have to have control. Let me say that again. It takes courage to not have to have control. COVID was teaching me this lesson once again. I feel I've learned it throughout my life, just in different forms. That's the wonderful thing about life. I learned it as a young mom, as a new entrepreneur 20 years ago, as a leader, and now again, in its own unique form as a 40-year-old. Thank you, COVID. Stepping back, taking inventory of what is really taking up my mind and energy, being open to how I am really feeling about all that I'm putting myself into, embracing the people around me that matter most. COVID shifted me to think about all of this. And guess what? You wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now if it wasn't for the space that the change in my trajectory, aka thanks to COVID, created for me. What about the space you are being offered? Not just now during all this COVID stuff, but moving forward because life is never the same. When change calls, step into the space, listen, feel, and then choose. Lesson number 3, have the courage to trust the timing of life. 2020 was my year to get my first tattoo. Yep, I committed. I even emailed the tattoo place to book a consult. That's a commitment for me. I have 4 kids with no drugs, but I am terrified that they will start the tattoo and then I'll have to bail because it hurts too much. I don't like pain. The bigger stumbling block is that I'm afraid of commitment. When we built our home, it took me years to commit to where to put pictures up. I just hate deciding. It feels really permanent to me, like holes in drywall permanent. Yes, you can plug the holes and repaint, but that is all a lot of work. And then the paint won't match. That's going to bug me. And then you have to paint the whole wall. It'll have to be redone. And then that wall will look too good next to the others destroyed by the children. So before you know it, you are painting the whole house and taking baseboards off. I hate taking baseboards off. And you get my point. I'm drained just thinking about it. So back to my tattoo. How can I commit to something that is so permanent on my skin? What if in 2 or 10 years, I actually hate it? What if the wisdom I ink into my flesh actually annoys me over time? So if I'm really so resistant, why do I even want to get a tattoo? And honestly, that's a really good question. And then I was looking for short wisdom quotes to write on the chalkboard in my main living room space, my attempt to inspire my kids to be into inspirational stuff. Scrolling through Google Images, I read this one line: trust in the timing of life. And I stopped. That was it. The words that are a soul deep truth for me, a phrase that embodies my approach to living, a timeless example of a mindset that endures. Trust the timing of life. I am not a religious person, but I am deeply spiritual. I know my choices in life matter. I know I make an impact by what I do, how I share my energy personally, professionally, with my friends and family, with you right now via this podcast. It all contributes to something greater than I know. Yet I also know that there is more to life than I can understand. And with the lessons of number 2, have the courage to not have to have control, I can feel more open to peace, joy, and fulfillment when I just trust that the alchemy between being present, receiving what life has to offer, and going after what I seek to contribute, the combination of all these make up my reality and impacts the realities of those around me. I trust that what is meant for me will come for me. I trust that change is redirection, not loss. I trust that I am worthy to receive. Now that took some work. I trust that I am enough when I simply enjoy the here and now. I think as an entrepreneur who seeks to truly make a difference, probably much like you are listening to Passion for Impact, I sometimes forget that it's not about me. It's not about what I can make happen or create or express. Yes, that's all important. And I will not stop making things happen or expressing myself or creating stuff and ideas and things and success. No, it's who I am. But what I've learned is that it takes courage to step back from all those identities and just be, just trust, just give and receive and enjoy. So here I am, sitting in my office, one kid at home from a headache, the other 3, luckily at school. December 17th, 2020. Lockdown is in place. Christmas will be just our family this year. No grandparents. Now I'm Italian, so I'm really going to miss my mom's Italian donuts. She makes them every year, and every year I watch, but I've never tried to make them on my own because she was always there to do it. Every year I think I should learn, but then I think, well, there's always next year, right? There is. There's always next year. Next year will come. It doesn't always look or feel the same way, though. In fact, it never does. Change is constant. Connection is always needed. Memories are to be made. COVID has taught me many things, provided me with space to reflect and re-engineer. From a new website that I did pretty much myself, very proud, to unsubscribing 3,000 emails from my list simply because they never engage. And why hold on to something just because it's there? I do know what I want to hold on to tighter than ever, though. Girls' nights out, wine and appies, hugs and sparkly makeup. Can't wait. The outdoor Christmas light up where hundreds gathered. It's all taken that moment when Christmas comes alive. A collective wow from toddlers and grandparents alike. I miss that. A room full of people gathered to learn and expand. The lights making me sweaty. The sounds of hundreds of people laughing out loud. And then minutes later, as I stand on stage, all quiet in reflection. The start of a theater production, the raw talent of those exuding infectious energy for everyone in the room to consume. Can't wait to get back to theater. The friends coming over for dinner, kids running around with warm cheeks while us adults share drinks and stories, all packed into the kitchen. Always packed into the kitchen. Connection, shared experiences, and energy. These moments will come back. Until then, I will cherish the coffee runs with my 14-year-old as she shares with me the latest on her friends and crushes. I'll never get that time back. Slower mornings, that little bit of extra time I can spend waking each kid of mine up, running my fingers through their hair. The family evening walks. No sports to rush off to, just time to fill up with fresh air. The occasional harvest moon. Think of the joy, the pain, the new beginnings, the space, all of it a gift of change and courage. May your 2020 be all it can be, uniquely for you, to be experienced and enjoyed with an open heart and a courageous soul. Thank you for choosing to be part of my journey and for listening to Passion for Impact. If you love learning how to live and lead in a conscious and fulfilling way, and you find this show empowering, please share with your friends, rate and review this podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember, cast your vote, make your impact one socially conscious choice at a time.
Passion for Impact is sponsored by the Inspire Store. Need a gift that inspires? Inspire Store features exclusive ethically made goods and jewelry that embodies these 3 words. Yes, you can. Every purchase supports Food Banks Canada. Plus, you will receive Tricia Miltimore's popular personal development Shift Up e-course. Empowerment awaits you. Shop with impact at inspirestore.org.
Thank you for listening to the Passion for Impact podcast. Visit passionigniter.ca/podcast to subscribe for episode notes, links, and special offers from show guests. Cast your vote. Make your impact one socially conscious choice at a time.